Can someone be too talented? One look at Julie Nesrallah's life, and you might think that that's possible. For starters, she's risen to the top of a profession that's populated with divas without actually becoming one. It's a remarkable feat. A mezzo-soprano of international renown, Julie has made it her mission to take a bit of the elitism out of the world of opera. Case in point, Carmen on Tap, Julie's decidedly modern update of Bizet's iconic opera, and one that recasts Carmen as a club-hopping downtowner with a uniquely urban sensibility. When she's not gracing stages all over the world, Julie can be found behind the microphone as host of CBC Radio 2's flagship classical music show, Tempo. So how does a populist like Julie get by in the rather traditional world of opera? Well, it seems she has a few habits that keep her grounded. First, she likes to relax by indulging in a little bit of fashion television, and rumor has it she can swear with the best of them. And that, quite frankly, makes us love her all the more. So please welcome the non-diva diva, Julie Nesrallah.
I'll never forget the day my mom marched up to me and said, "Julie, you are Carmen. And if there is anyone on the planet equipped to tell you exactly who you are, it is your mother." At that point, I had no idea who this Carmen person was. But when I finally met her, I felt like a disco ball lighting up my soul. Carmen is the title character from the opera by Georges Bizet. Carmen is a gypsy, the queen of her caravan. She is strong, dark, dangerous, and irresistible. What is most alluring about Carmen is her lust for freedom. She values freedom more than anything else in the world. My mom was right. I look like Carmen, I sound like Carmen, and as a singer, I live like a gypsy, always on the road. And I value freedom more than anything else in the world. Incidentally, I have never been married. Singing Carmen is like nothing else I have ever experienced in my life. She is my soul sister, my kindred spirit. We are one. I have been bringing Carmen to life on the stages of the world for over a decade, and as you heard from Romina, I also produce and star in Carmen on Tap, which presents the opera as dinner theater. Carmen reveals who she is when she sings a sultry song likening love to a rebellious bird that cannot be tamed. And she warns you that if you dare to fall in love with her, you had better watch out. Well, an ill-equipped mama's boy named Don José falls for her hard. And for a while, it sort of looks like Carmen might be falling for him too, but when her feelings change, Don José can't handle it, and he becomes insane with jealousy when she moves on to another lover. In the novella by Prosper Mérimée, upon which the opera is based, the story of Carmen and Don José is told by a third party, an archaeologist. He encounters Don José during his travels. He discovers that Don José is a fugitive running from the law and helps him escape from police. When the archaeologist wanders into a new town, he encounters Carmen by chance. And this is how it all goes down when they meet. One evening, after it had grown quite dusk, I was leaning over the parapet of the quay, smoking, when a woman came up the steps leading from the river and sat down near me. In her hair, she wore a great bunch of jasmine, a flower which, at night, exhales a most intoxicating perfume. She was dressed simply, almost poorly, in black, as most work girls are dressed in the evening. When she drew near me, the woman let the mantilla, which had covered her head, drop on her shoulders and by the dim light falling from the stars, I perceived her to be young, short in stature, well proportioned, and with very large eyes. I threw my cigar away at once, and she appreciated this mark of courtesy and hastened to inform me that she was very fond of the smell of tobacco and that she even smoked herself when she could get very mild papelitos. I fortunately happened to have some in my case and at once offered them to her. She condescended to take one and lighted it. We mingled our smoke and talked so long, the fair lady and I, that we ended by being almost alone upon the quay. I thought I might venture, without impropriety, to suggest going to eat an ice at the neveria. After a moment, she agreed. I am a Frenchman and your devoted servant. And you, senora or senorita, you probably belong to Cordoba? No. At all events, are you an Andalusian? Your soft way of speaking makes me think so. Well, if you notice people's accents so closely, you must be able to guess who I am. I think you are from the country of Jesus, 2 paces out of paradise. The people here say there is no place for paradise for us. Then perhaps you are of Moorish blood, or, I stopped, not venturing to add, a Jewess. Oh, come, you must see, I'm a gypsy. Would you not like me to tell you La Baji, his fortune? Did you never hear tell of Carmencita? Well, that's who I am. The close proximity of a sorceress did not make me recoil in horror. So be it, I thought. Last week I ate my supper with a highway robber. Today, I'll go eat ices with a servant of the devil. A traveler should see everything, no? I had yet another motive for prosecuting her acquaintance. When I left college, I had wasted a certain amount of time in studying occult science and had even attempted more than once to exorcise the powers of darkness. Talking as we went, we had reached the neveria and seated ourselves at a little table lighted by a taper protected by a glass globe. I very much doubt whether the Señorita Carmen was a pure-blooded gypsy. At all events, she was infinitely prettier than any other woman of her race I have ever seen. For a woman to be beautiful, they say in Spain, you must be able to define her appearance by 10 adjectives. For instance, 3 things about her must be black: her eyes, her eyelashes, and her eyebrows. 3 must be dainty: her fingers, her lips, her hair, and so forth. My gypsy girl could lay no claim to so many perfections. Her skin, though perfectly smooth, was almost of a copper hue. Her eyes were set obliquely in her head, but they were magnificent and large. Her lips, a little full but beautifully shaped, revealed a set of teeth as white as newly skinned almonds. Her hair, a trifle coarse, was black, with blue lights on it, like a raven's wing. There was something strange and wild about her beauty. Her face astonished you at first sight, but nobody could forget it. Her eyes especially had an expression of mingled sensuality and fierceness, which I had never seen in any other human glance. It will be understood that I should have looked ridiculous if I had proposed to have my fortune told in a cafe. I therefore begged the pretty witch's leave to go home with her. She made no difficulties about condescending. We started off again. It was quite dark. Most of the shops were shut, and the streets were almost empty. We stopped in front of a house of anything but palatial appearance. The door was opened by a child to whom the gypsy spoke a few words in a language unknown to me, the gypsy idiom. As soon as we were left alone, the gypsy produced out of her chest a pack of cards bearing signs of constant usage, a magnet, a dried chameleon, and a few other indispensable adjuncts of her art. Then she bade me cross my left hand with a silver coin and the magic ceremonies duly began. Unluckily, we were soon disturbed. The door suddenly burst open, and a man shrouded to the eyes in a brown cloak entered the room, apostrophizing the gypsy in anything but gentle terms. She ran to meet him, and with a most striking volubility, she poured out several sentences in the mysterious language she had already used in my presence. Concluding myself to be the subject of this discourse, I was prepared for a somewhat delicate explanation. Roughly pushing the gypsy to one side, the man advanced toward me. Then, with a step backward, he cried, "What, sir? Is it you?" I looked at him in my turn and recognized my friend, Don José. At that moment, I did feel rather sorry I had saved him from the gallows. Meanwhile, the gitana was still talking to him in her own tongue. She became more and more excited. Her eyes grew fierce and bloodshot. Her features contracted, and she stamped her foot. Don José took hold of my arm, opened the door, and led me into the street. We walked some 200 paces in the deepest silence. Then he stretched out his hand and said, "Go straight on, and you'll come to the bridge." That instant, he turned his back on me and departed at a great pace. I took my way back to my inn, rather crestfallen and considerably out of temper. The worst of all was that, when I undressed, I discovered my watch was missing.